What's up, guys? I'm in my home office trying to do this intro, and I keep bombing. I keep trying to do it all in one take, and I just keep bombing. And I keep restarting, and then I keep getting in my head, and then I keep going, why do I care so much? Just say what you got to say and get on with it. Let the people get to what they came here for. So let's do this. And just like that, we're back with another Black with No Cream podcast episode. New episode every single Sunday. I'm your host, Ben Haggerty, a.k.a. Ben Real Verse World. And this is season 2 of the podcast, powered by Canon. Today's episode, do you see how easy that was for me to do that? Jesus. Today's episode, we have a very special guest. I remember this guest walking into a room that I was in back in 2018. I was at Coachella. I was with Beyonce, Soft Flex, and I'm at the hotel. We're chilling. There's a bunch of crew people hanging out or whatever, and I hear this voice walk in, and from far away, I could hear the voice, and I knew that voice from a mile away. I was like, yo, shit, Mike Carson's here. And I was like, sick. I've been trying to befriend Mike Carson since like 2011 or some shit, since I knew about his music blog. We'll talk about it in the podcast. But I remember when he walked in, I was like, we're going to become friends. I know we'll become friends somehow, some way. And sure as shit, I pulled it off. The guy likes me. and he's so nice. He was down to get on this podcast and share his story. And I'm glad he did, because he's a powerful creative director in this entertainment industry, and the dude has had such a cool rise to success. He's super humble. He is very quiet, and so I'm pumped that he was down to just open up and share about his journey on our podcast today. We talk about all kinds of stuff. Back in the day when Virgil straight up put him into a room with Kanye and Jay-Z to document the Watch the Throne tour. He went on to creative direct for Big Sean. He's gone on to do all kinds of campaigns and work with many different major brands. And I think we even dive deep into like what it is to do the job of creative directing, how you handle those high pressure situations. So there's tons that you're going to benefit and learn from this episode. So thank you, Mike. I appreciate you, man. Like I'm so thankful for you to do this for the podcast and for the community. So thank you, bro. If you're new here and you don't know what this podcast is, it's called Black with No Cream. I created it in 2016. It's a creator community. It's a podcast. It's a way to give back. It's a way to share knowledge, and me to force my friends to be on here and come into the community and do live streams and just empower the creative community. So if you are unfamiliar with it, you got to go check out our website and join our private community. We have a community online. Thousands of creators have been a part of this in the past, but we just relaunched and rebranded with a brand new platform that's the shit. It's unbeatable. You can come in there, get jobs, share your work, gain insight, get honest feedback. Honestly, it's just a safe place for creators to come together and share their ideas. But we're going to start doing weekly live streams. We just did one last week with Rory, and it's kind of cool. It's like a book club where we listen to the episode. We're able to all congregate and shoot the shit about what we learned about that episode, our takeaways, lessons, questions that might have arisen. And last week we were able to surprise everyone with Rory. Rory showed up and talked on the podcast, so that was cool. Maybe this week Mike Carson shows up. I don't know. I just texted him about it, so we'll see. But either way, we're in there. We're active. Come join a bunch of like-minded folks and build some friends in the process. But this episode, it's a favorite of mine. So I'm going to quit talking. I'm going to shut up. And when I do this in 2 seconds, it's going to jump cut to the illest podcast set ever seen by any creative, in my opinion. I started this in the kitchen, so this thing is definitely a definite upgrade. And that's all thanks to my people at Canon. So let's do a little 1, 2, 3, boom. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike motherfucking Carson.
That's good.
This, I'm telling you, dude, this is, I'm very excited for this one.
Yeah.
Because I found an email that I tried to fire off to you guys from like 2007, 6?
Nah, no, it was earlier. I was in
2009.
High school. Okay, maybe you did.
No, it was 2009, 2010-ish.
It's before my time there.
Where?
It
2011?
I was there, and I mean, it was going, but I wasn't there until 2010. Yeah.
The mission of what you guys were doing at Ill Roots.
Yeah.
I wrote it, this is funny because what I found was it's me saying to my friend Eric, I said, hey, send this to info@illroots, thanks. And then it's me writing from his perspective, like, hey, I found this group, they're cool, check them out. I was trying to rap, and I wanted some fucking love.
I always tell people, like, I think some of my favorite visual creatives have some sort of music background, whether it's like they made beats or they can play piano or they try to rap.
Yeah.
I think it there's a relation, so it's not surprising.
I wasn't great, but I had a blast, and I was like, I feel like they'll like me. But dude, it's crazy because that obviously Ill Roots put me onto you early.
Sick.
So I've been following your career for such a long time, and being able to do a podcast with you, this is fucking sick.
That means a lot.
No, I'm serious. And
it's tight because you've seen all of the...
Literally, like, there's so much. I know there's so much I don't know, and that's why I'm excited to talk to you about it. And like when we got coffee not too long ago, we were like, you were just talking about the idea of sharing more. You know what I mean? And
no, this is dope. I'm excited.
Right before we recorded, Dave just told you about the BTS piece. Like you making like those things and showing like the vision or like how you're starting to piece things together. It's like, I don't know. There's so many of us that watch you from afar, and there's so many people that will have no clue how you're doing this shit.
They have no idea.
You're a magician.
I appreciate it.
Like, it's ridiculous. And so I'm stoked to like learn more about it. But man, it's been really cool to watch the progression over the years and like see everything, and then to run into you back in like Coachella. Yeah, that was when I heard your voice walk through, because I think I heard you through other interviews and shit. I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna become friends. I know this shit.
No, that's tight.
How you been? You been good?
I've been great, man. It's been a great year. I don't want to date this, but it's been a great year.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we don't have to date this, but I mean, it's been, I feel like every year you have like micro victory laps where you tell, like the last time, the year before this, was that when we did the Apple Music thing and you brought me out to help?
Yeah, that was 2020. Yeah.
2020, you were like, oh, I need to take a break. Like, it's been crazy. And then just getting you into this building, you're like, I'm about to take a break. It's been crazy.
No, it's kind of my new thing. Like, end of the year, take some time off, reset, and then get bored, and then I'm like, all right, I'm ready to work. Yeah, it's like the best. Refresh.
I want to. I mean, all this like kind of like the follow the trajectory of your life or whatever, and you know, creators will benefit from hearing the story, the come up story portion of it. But I'm kind of curious. Like, I know a lot about when you guys started forming your mission from the creative and doing video shit and like the early Big Sean stuff. But I kind of want to go before that and hear a little bit about like your upbringing and and how you got into the arts, I guess, in general, but just a little bit about your upbringing.
Yeah, from the Chicagoland area, so suburbs. I've just always been into technology and electronics and all that stuff. So when I was like around 8 or 9, I got my first camera. So like video camera.
8 or 9?
Yeah. So I'm pretty fortunate to be like at the intersection with when like technology became a little bit more accessible. I'm 30 now. So that year, this camera, I don't know if it came out that year, but when I was 9, it was like this, it was called the Digital Blue camera. And you can like shoot digital video and edit it on your computer. But it had like crazy like...
Sounds so old.
Yeah, it was tight though, man. It was like, you can like add VFX. They had like pre-made VFX you can add like on the things, like explosions and all this stuff.
Like, so, it came with its own program or
something? Yeah, it was like its own editing program. Yeah. So obviously before that, I had like an interest in like just cameras, and what obviously eventually I figured out was like the art form of filmmaking. But I think my entry point has just always been like watching behind the scenes videos, or like back during that time that was like a thing, like making a video or like DVD featurette. So just from that moment was just super enamored with video and filmmaking, and like my dream at the time was like, oh, to become like a film director and like move to LA and like go to USC and all these things. So like
in the early ages, this is like my vision for my like at 8 or 9.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know the school yet, probably at 9, but at least by like 10 or 11, absolutely.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Were you collaborating? Like when you had the camera, was it just like you and your friends just
me and my brother? Yeah.
You and your brother?
Yeah, my younger brother. I just like filmed him doing stuff, and like, yeah.
Did your family have that background? Like,
no, not at all. But my parents are like obviously super integral in like cultivating that by being like, all right, cool, we'll buy you this camera or whatever. Yeah. So just for every year would be like a new thing where it's like, I'm like, oh, let me get a better camera, or like, I was super into music too, and just like never really took it seriously, but just like always had like a Casio keyboard or something, like just to touch the keys and like making music. But yeah, when that kind of age to like choose what you want to do and go to college for came, I'm like skipping a lot of years, but like high school was like me and my, this is really important actually. Yeah. So yeah, every year I'm like diving into like the art form of like just video. I won't say filmmaking yet, because it's like I wasn't making films, but I was having my camera, I was shooting events or like shooting stuff at home. I was like volunteering at church, like being a camera operator, like just immersing myself in it. And eventually my dad had like a nonprofit, so like he got like software really discounted. I remember it was a site where you can get like Adobe products really cheap. And this is before obviously Creative Cloud, so like Adobe suite was probably thousands of dollars.
Right,
and I remember it was like $100 for like the whole suite because he had a nonprofit. Yeah. So like I got like the Adobe suite, I don't know, CS, whatever. I was probably like 14. I like taught myself all this stuff.
Was that Final Cut?
This is not, I didn't have a Mac. So this was like Adobe Premiere, Photoshop.
Damn.
I think before that I was on like Sony Vegas or something. But yeah, just like YouTube videos, like teaching myself how to like edit in Premiere and stuff. And like in high school, like instead of doing like a poster or something, I'd be like, oh, can I do a video? They'd be like, all right.
What do you mean, like a poster for like class or something?
Yeah, so it'd be like a presentation or something.
Oh,
like,
yeah, right. Yeah,
instead of doing like a report, I'm like, can I make a video? Yeah. So it's like if we're doing like Beowulf, we like read Beowulf or something, I'm like, let me make my own Beowulf film.
That's tight.
So I was just doing stuff like that. And then like when it kind of came to that time to like choose a career path and go to college and stuff, I was like just reading stuff and like doing the research because I'm like very big on research even then. I was like, I don't really like at the time, the trajectory of like being a PA and like moving to LA and like going to school, being super in debt and like being a PA for 4 years to hopefully get a chance to be like a grip. And then like, you know, I think at the time it was like, this is how you become a filmmaker. And it sounded like this 20-year thing. So I was like, nah.
I want that shit now.
Yeah, but like, so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to school and get a degree in something where I can get a job. So I chose television with a minor in editing. But by the time I got to school, I'd already taught myself how to use all the programs, and like I was pretty good already.
Yeah.
And like going to art school and stuff, it's like I think when it's probably a little bit different being a film major because you really get like the film history and like all this, but like being a TV major, it was more so tech based. So it was like, this is how you use the program, or like this is how you use the gear, and I'm like, I know how to do all this stuff.
Right.
So it wasn't really like
it was like entry level shit.
It was very entry level, which makes sense because it's like if you're
new brand.
Yeah, if you to even the playing field, like everyone should be learning things as it is. But I don't know, it's a bit advanced. Sidebar, in college, I had met one of my homies was like, yo, this kid Mike Wax who has this blog called Ill Roots is in my class. And I was like, I've heard of Ill Roots.
Yeah.
I was like, that's crazy. So like linked us. I remember the first time, I don't know if this is the first time I met Mike or the first time we ever did something. Like B.O.B. was like performing at our college. This was 2009. And I just had my camera that I like at this point had a better camera because I like had a job and stuff at that point.
You remember what camera you had? It's like 2009?
It's 2009. I'll find the exact name. I'm not guessing. It was probably a Canon. But like before, this is the year before the video DSLRs came out. So it was like whatever Canon video camera had like 24p that was like still a handy camera.
Right.
So yeah, I was like, went to the show, like shot some like little recap or whatever, posted it on, I put like illroots.com and then like Mike Carson whatever my website was, .tk or something.
.tk.
And me and Mike just started to like develop a friendship, and from that point on, and then before then, like Ill Roots didn't really have a video or like kind of like media or creative side of it. It was more so just about the blog and like, which was doing really well, and Mike was 18 and he had already kind of built this thing.
Yeah.
But from there, I was like, yo, I'm just down to be around, and like I'll film interviews, I'll like film concert recaps and all this stuff. And we started to develop a friendship, which is really beneficial because Mike had the access and he had the vision too, because he's super creative. And then also at that time, we had a homie, it was just a bunch of us at school, but we had our like the integral players was like myself, Mike, and our boy Darnell. And then from there we were just like going to concerts, we'll do a recap, ask them like, yo, can we do more content with you? And then I can't quite remember the exact time, but like we started being like, yo, let us shoot like a music video for you for free.
Yeah.
This is like it's now the motto, like you look at like I'm trying to think, like a Lyrical Lemonade or something, where it was like the motto was like, we are a site and then we also do content.
Right.
But before then there wasn't really like anyone doing that. So I think people were really eager to have a free video at that time. And like the rappers that were coming up at that time were like Chip the Ripper, Big Sean, the Cool Kids.
Yeah.
it was like a really dope scene in Chicago because everybody had to come through Chicago like 4 or 5 times a year on their tour.
Right.
And you had like so much access to these people through the blog and just in general because everyone was still a lot lower of a tier. It wasn't like now where it's like you have one song and you're like famous.
Yeah, you're like big.
It's
but
like,
at the time, were you like as you were like starting to progress in this random lane that you just tripped on?
Yeah.
Was it like, were you getting stoked that like a lot of the people that you were working around?
Was super excited.
Yeah, like
yeah. I'm
like
like
you felt like this was an itch towards like you
sure.
you wanted to skip the line of spend 20 years doing this shit. Where you're like, this might be it.
I love the medium of music videos, even like just as a kid before I like consciously knew about it. So this was like a really dope entry point in like working with artists I really admired and like doing what I love. So we like, go to school, after school, like we're like, or up all night editing videos or whatever it may be, and like starting to build these relationships with artists. And one of the I don't want to say one of the first, but one of the most important ones was one of the first was Big Sean. So this is like, no, Big Sean. So this was like 2010, so he didn't have an album out. So Mike knew them somehow through the blog, and like I remember we did like we drove to Cleveland or something and like shoot a recap for like a show that had like Big Sean, Dom Kennedy, everybody that was like on the Fat Rap song. Right. I remember we were like, oh, we're trying to shoot a Fat Raps video, and like we shot all this stuff, but like one rapper didn't want to shoot his verse, which is crazy. Like looking back, it was not Sean.
Yeah.
So we never like finished that, but it was always like we're always talking to them. They would come into town and like because they were always in Chicago, and just we're starting to build a relationship with also people like Chip the Ripper as well.
Shout out to Chip, he's been on the podcast before.
Fire.
That was dope.
Who else? The Cool Kids.
Like everyone. Like
that
ran the fucking Midwest.
Yeah, that was a beautiful time in just music and like being a part of that, being 18 years old or 19 years old, and like being at the intersection of that was like super pivotal in my upbringing. Simultaneously, am I rambling?
No, dude, I'm fucking.
Okay,
just
cool.
Please. It's funny because parts of this, it's like I know. So when I would describe what you guys were doing, because it's like, so I'm in Iowa. I'm 5 hours from y'all, and I would just be. I'm like on the internet just watching because I'm like, man, the access, the opportunity, the things that they're putting themselves into. I'm like, that's so sick, and like. I think I just wasn't video minded yet. I was just artist minded, but I'm like, I paid attention to this shit because this was my education of like, what do artists want? And then you guys are fulfilling that in certain ways. So when you did do Big Sean for the first time, I was like, man, they went to like Indiana or some shit. I would like tell my people, I'd be like, these guys just drove to Indiana. Now they just did this video with him or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the Chitty Bang Too Fake.
Yeah.
That shit. Then I was like,
that's kind of like the turning point in my career.
That video?
Before I get to that, kind of simultaneously, Mike worked retail at RSVP Gallery, which had opened in 2009. So he was like one of the first employees. I don't know how he met Don or Virgil. Those that don't know, RSVP Gallery in that time was like the store of Don C, Virgil Abloh, and Mark Moran.
Right.
So it's like this cool streetwear store, luxury streetwear store, like the first of its kind in Chicago. Chicago had like a really big streetwear scene, but this was like a different type of store. It was like a concept store. They had like Kanye, Louis and stuff from like Don's personal archive and like just random ill stuff. But Mike worked there and like every day he sang Virgil and Don C. So I would just go around and like, introduce myself, just be around. After a while, I'm shooting free content for them, like marketing videos, recaps, or whatever it is. The partner at the time, Mark Moran, took like a liking to me and was like, yo, just always, stay around, always do stuff. So I'm filming a lot of stuff for the store while also doing Uru stuff, while also being in school.
Goddamn.
Which was like...
This is college?
Yeah, it was like freshman year. Freshman and sophomore year of college. Right. And then around 2010... Honestly, we met Sean completely outside of that, but it was kind of serendipitous because Sean was signed to Good Music and like those guys worked on Good Music stuff. So we're like doing more stuff with Sean. We do this video Too Fake. We shoot it on the roof of our boy David Munez, his like aunt's condo or something in downtown Chicago. No money, no, like, we're not getting paid, but it's content for the blog.
Right.
And we have a budget for the video. So the video is like just Sean on the roof and like shots of Chitty Bang in there as well. We might have shot some pickups with Chitty Bang. I remember this guy at the time, Ken Kohler, was working with us, and he was like really good at Final Cut. But I was still editing all the videos. And like he showed me this like blend mode, like weird blend mode thing.
Is this how you made like the tilt shift look?
Nah, this is like, that was like a, I don't even know, is it Red Giant? Maybe that was like a Red Giant plugin or something.
Damn.
But the if you rewatch the video, there's this like acid looking thing.
Yeah.
And like he like showed me how to do that. And like, so I like cut the video. I remember like skipping class to like finalize it.
Yeah.
Remember we sent it to Virgil, like before it came out, and Virgil was like, yo, this video's ill. Like in his like Virgil email way. And like, he's like, yo, just some feedback. Like the chair is super whack.
The chair?
Yeah, it was like this like chair. He's like, yo, you know, just pay attention to details like that. But he's like, yo, do this effect, like the acid effect. He's like, yo, just do that way more. And I promise you're going to have to drop out of school.
Damn.
I'm like, oh, bet. So I'm like,
that's fucking crazy.
Going crazy on the effect.
So the effects throughout the whole video. No, I got
rewatch it. Once you see it, you'll be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like very popular now.
But you couldn't
it was like,
mask out that chair by any chance?
Nah, it was no way. My chops weren't there. Yeah, so like that video comes out. I remember it being like a crazy time. Like people really liked it. Sean was like super popping on at that moment. And then just kind of simultaneously, this is like 2010. So Mike and I had to go to New York for CMJ, which was like a music thing back then. Like we were still doing the blog thing in the sense of like getting content, getting interviews. I don't even know what we shot out there, but we were in New York. And like Virgil was there, and they were like, it was a day the Kanye Runaway film premiered on MTV.
Okay, dope.
And I want to say Virgil let us borrow a lens or something like weeks prior, like a fisheye that was like his randomly. Shout out Canon. Canon fisheye.
Yeah, there we go.
So he was like, yo, I need my fisheye. So we like met up with him in Soho. And he was like, yo, what are you guys doing? He was like, yo, Kanye just spazzed on me. He's like telling me I need people to like document stuff at all times. So he's like, can you guys like come to the studio tonight? I'm like, what? Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
You gotta imagine, like, I'm 19, I'm from Chicago. Like Kanye West at this time is Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's like the most important creative for a kid my age. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like a few years prior, I just saw like Glow in the Dark tour. Like I know all the music. I want to say Kanye is the first piece of music I've ever bought. So I'm like freaking out.
Yeah.
Virgil was just like, yo, you guys need to have suit jackets though. This is like Rosewood era.
Need to have suit jackets?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we went to like Uniqlo, bought some like really bad suit jackets, and like went and filmed Kanye like come out at this like Fool's Gold show. Okay. He had just signed Sci-Hi. So we're like just filming Kanye and met him in the studio. It felt like a movie. I'll never forget this.
Yeah. Wait, so you went to the studio
to the studio first, met Kanye. I'm like filming him, me and Mike.
Is he giving you like direction of what he wanted?
Nah, we're literally just in there with a 70 and a T2i. Yeah. Literally, this is like no gas.
Yeah. No, I know. But coincidentally, like almost all of us,
for sure,
we start with this.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So we're just in there filming, and then like we go to the Brooklyn Bowl because Kanye was gonna like pop out like a Sci-Hi Fool's Gold show. Film that. Have to go back to school the next day.
Red eye back.
After that. So imagine like.
I can't.
Yeah. It's already messed up because I'm like, I definitely edited some of that Big Sean video on a school computer, and like having to like go back and forth to school while you're doing all these things is like crazy. It's kind of a
Did anyone else at school know what the fuck was going on?
Yeah, but it wasn't like a...
You weren't going back and be like, bro, look at what's on this drive. Like,
yes and no. Like obviously people in like that knew what was going on, like the homies, but like in class that stuff didn't matter. We were like, it didn't matter.
Yeah, right. They're teaching you how to
how to like organize
and shit.
That, or like organize. Only thing I think I have to give credit to, I learned media management.
Hey, that's big.
Very important.
Yeah.
Nothing else though.
Yeah. Hey, give a quick media management tip.
Man, when you get your when you dump your media, before you dump your media, get your drive. Make sure your folders are labeled. Yeah. Everything's organized. Put everything right in the folder. Don't dump it right onto your computer. Make it really easy for yourself when you open up Premiere or whatever it is, so that you know where your source files are. You can hop on any computer, whatever. You know what I mean?
Back that shit up.
Back it up, man. Yeah. I've lost some crazy stuff by like a laptop or something getting stolen, or like because I had something on my desktop.
Right,
so,
right.
No matter how long it takes, just do it.
So you were going back. You had to literally
go back to school. Yeah. I'm like spending like a lot of time at RSVP, like trying to edit this recap of what we just shot. Obviously didn't come out, but like Mark, who worked at the store or like and ran the store like down in Virgil, weren't there. It's like, yo, just stay ready. I remember telling my parents like, yo, I just shot Kanye, and they're like, blah, blah. They're like, that's really cool, but like, you're not dropping out of school. Like,
oh, you were starting to.
I was just already in that like mode, like, yo, this is like what I went to school for.
Virgil said,
man. So, I don't know how many weeks after, I get like a call from Mark, and he's like, yo, Virgil needs you to like come to New York, and like they need you to like film Kanye while he's on like this press run, but you're gonna miss school, like, so figure it out. So I'm like,
figure it out,
bawling, crying. I remember just like hanging up the phone, calling my mom, like, yo, this is like the craziest thing ever. Like, they were really supportive. They were like, talk to your teachers, figure it out.
Yeah,
you're not dropping out.
Yeah.
Not too many people know the story. It's definitely not on the web, so
Appreciate
exclusive.
You. Yeah, thank you, dog.
I think the NDA is 10 years, so
we've passed
the 10 years. Yeah, so
what the teacher said was all good.
I don't know what I said, man. This part I can't remember, but
I got COVID.
Yeah, I got COVID in 2010. Yeah. Man. So I like fly to New York. I remember Mike was like, I'm coming too.
Oh yeah, so at the same time when you guys went out, did he have class the next day too? And
yeah, but I think at that point Mike had dropped out.
Okay, word.
Because Roots was just starting to grow, and it was like no point in him being in school.
Right.
So flew to New York. I remember that day Kanye did a Ustream. It's like this is like back when Ustream was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because Runaway was coming. I mean, Dark Fantasy was coming out. He was like showing the packaging. If you go back and look, you'll see me and Mike walk by. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
This is great B-roll. I don't know if you can put it in there,
we'll
but
get it. We'll find
it.
We gotta find it.
So we're like filming Kanye like at Def Jam or something. I remember the next day Kanye was like on a press run, and we had to go to Minnesota. I think only I was going this day. So like Kanye was not flying jets. So like Kanye, his publicist, myself, and maybe like an engineer all got on a Delta connection flight to go to Minnesota. I'll never forget this. Going to sleep, no lie, waking up to Kanye on the intercom rapping.
On the fucking plane?
I'm sure there's video of this somewhere. I was asleep. I remember like waking up like, my camera. Like, yeah. He's like rapping Gold Digger on the plane.
Oh my God.
No idea why. But yeah, we go to Minnesota. They're asking him the worst questions possible. Like the worst questions. Because, no disrespect. But culturally at that time, I don't know if they didn't have the access or the reference point, but they were just asking all these bad questions. So he was like, after that, no more press.
Damn.
And I'm like, yo, this
is a press run.
Yeah, that's why I dropped out of school.
Yeah.
Or I'm dropping out of school. I don't think I dropped out yet. So it was no more press run. But we're in New York. Virgil's like, yo, you guys can just stay in my crib. He's like staying at his friend's crib. So like me, Mike Wags, Ivan Jasper, Virgil Abloh, we all live in an apartment for like some months. This part is foggy. I don't fully remember what happened, but it was definitely dry for a few months. I had an apartment in Chicago. I want to say I was going back and forth. But it was kind of like, we're just waiting and waiting.
To just see what Kanye says next.
Yeah, but like at the time, we still have stuff to do, so it's like stuff to do. But it definitely was not shaking. And then later that year, I think Kanye had just started on Watch the Throne. Him and Jay like did some sessions in London, and I think they dropped Ham, which was like the first single, and people hated it or whatever. So they were like gonna go back and start over or something, and went to. They were like, "Oh, we're going to Australia," and
Like they had like a house out there.
Yeah, they had a house.
Or New Zealand. Or
yeah, something. I missed a part.
Which part?
I missed a part
when you dropped out of school.
Yeah, when I dropped out of school, and in between that, like my first time ever going out of the country was to Abu Dhabi. So Kanye had a one-off show for the F1 race, which is like very serendipitous. I'm saying this right now because I have an artist who's performing at the F1 race this week.
Oh, that's hard.
Where I designed the show.
Who? Because this won't come out till next year.
Kendrick.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Crazy.
That's crazy, bro. Yeah. That's some full circle shit.
Yeah. So I remember Virgil being like, yo, Kanye's doing the show. Like, you have a passport? Did not have a passport. So like rushed me to get a passport and all that. I don't know what, I have to look at the timeline on like where this landed in between all these things. But I want to say after that it was slow. And then, so we're like back in Chicago, back and forth in New York occasionally, but mostly in Chicago. And I remember Virgil was like, yo, you got that passport? Like, I need you to go to Australia, you and Mike. They're filming Watch the Throne. They're recording Watch the Throne. We need to like shoot some BTS. Craziest experience of my life. We're there for like a week while they're filming, just shooting content. BTS in rooms with like just Kanye or just Jay or like Beyonce, like whatever.
Yeah.
19.
What the fuck?
Grossly under qualified, but like shout out to Virgil.
Yeah,
I think it's like people when Virgil passed and everybody was like saying all this stuff. It was like no cap, no gas. Like he was like really like that.
Yeah, that guy.
Like really had a vision and really saw people like 5 years probably before they saw themselves.
Right.
So, yeah, man. For about 2 years, I'll just skip some stuff. We're like back and forth doing the Kanye thing, filming him when he needs us, but also like that's like my college in a sense. I dropped out at this point, so it's like I'm like soaking up all this knowledge from these guys, whether it's Virgil or Ye or Don or Ivan or these guys, and like seeing how they move. At the same time, kind of simultaneously, like cultivating our relationship with Big Sean and Pusha. Sean's first album comes out like 2011. Mike did the cover like 2 days before it was due. We're filming like content for like the first, like I want to say the first single was I Do It.
Yeah.
I shot it in a hotel room in Miami. It's like all macro shots. We're doing stuff like that. After a while, the Kanye thing kind of fades, but at the same time, Sean's growing, so it kind of worked out. So around 2012, me, Mike, and Darnell, we left New York and moved to LA. As like Big Sean is growing as an artist, and then
because he went to LA or why?
He lives in LA.
He lived in LA at the time.
New York was definitely not my jam personally.
Right.
And I want to say at the time New York was kind of like it wasn't the right place for us to be to like grow Ill Roots or like grow our careers. So we like up and moved to North Hollywood. Yeah.
What the fuck? This is crazy, by the way.
Exclusive.
Literally nuts. Yeah, it is. Thank you. No, I appreciate it. Hit the button. It's crazy because like you said, he's seeing your career for you 5 years before you did, or just trusting the fact that you might figure it out or sense some shit in you to put you in that room.
Crazy.
And the other thing is too, like, it's either that Kanye's just cool with you guys because Virgil sent you,
100%.
That he's assuming it. But
1 trillion percent.
Conversations with him?
Yeah, for sure. I've had tons of conversations with Kanye.
But at that time, like when you were just getting tossed in the room, like Watch the Throne, are they telling you, like, is he telling you his vision for what he wanted you to
After a while, it was like, after a while, there's like some things being said, but for the most part, like Virgil's like just like
roll,
or like he'll send us a reference or something like, yo, this is a vibe, but it wasn't like this is your daily assignment. It was like, be a fly on the wall, respect what's going on, don't tell me when you're here.
Yeah.
And, you know, just be an asset. And it's like, in that environment, being in that environment has taught me how to maneuver so much. Even at this, you know, to this day, I feel like I'm afforded some opportunities, obviously from my talent, but also because of how I move in rooms and like know how to be somewhere and not say anything until it's time to say.
Right.
Or like, you know, how to just overall etiquette,
Yeah.
you know, when working with artists or quote unquote high profile people. So
because you literally got thrown into the room with the biggest,
yeah,
the biggest straight zero. I mean, you were messing.
No,
around
1 trillion %. Like, but it was like at the best possible time because it was like the year before Instagram dropped, or like maybe the year Instagram did drop. So like that wasn't on my brain. Like I'm not thinking about posting. It was like I was thinking about working.
Yeah, right.
Which I'm really grateful for because I don't know that it would have went the same way if like this was 2015 and like I'm like thinking about what I'm gonna post on my Instagram or my Twitter or something. So it was like I'm really grateful to like come up at that time.
No, that's really cool. Was it did any of the stuff that came from that trip out there, did any of it?
Nah, there was like a leak from like but like another videographer, like long story. Shit. Yeah, but there was like a leak and it was like additional footage, Mike Carson and Mike Clarkson.
What the fuck?
Crazy, man.
Can people still find it?
Yeah, it's still out.
Oh, tight.
It's stuff in there. You can see me in there. It's weird.
Yeah.
You've definitely seen it, yeah.
That's so crazy, man.
But like, man, it's like at the time, obviously, you're like, man, I want stuff to come out. But it's like, I'm so grateful for that time, just in like molding my POV and like my eye, really. Just
and
like
taste
my taste, man, it was like all
surrounded by
taste
greatness
level,
and like,
yeah.
And like you saying Virgil, like go get the suits and all this shit.
Yeah,
you're already getting put on to like, cause I'm 19. It's like I can't still not dress myself, bro. I still like you came and walk my shit. And they were like, man, we need to start dressing up.
Man, I'm just trying to care a little more, man.
I know.
Trust me, I was like sweatpants for 10 years.
Yeah, I'm sweatpants right now.
Yeah.
No, but I think that having the access to that shit, like you're growing very fucking quickly.
Man, at a rapid speed and like. It was like a lot of like you said, invaluable lessons in like taste and like process. Like seeing like Kanye be like, "Oh, I want to drop these songs. We need artwork tonight," and Virgil on his laptop just do it, and it's like, boom, it's out.
Yeah.
Or like seeing them film music videos. Remember the Monster videos like shot on a 5D.
Really?
Yeah, because it was like this portrait look. They wanted it to like look like photos. Yeah. At the time, maybe that was the best route of doing it. So I'm like seeing them do all these things with like the tools I have.
Yeah.
So like little did I know it was like also shaping my POV as like how to be a creative director before I was even thinking about that.
Was there was that on your mind? Like,
no, not at all. But like Virgil was Kanye's creative director. I don't know what the weird title, but he was his creative director. Yeah. So I'm like seeing how they maneuver and like what he brings to the table, the type of people he brings in the rooms, like what's the process of album rollout and all these things. So
yeah, when you think of like if you had to explain to someone that doesn't really understand the role, like as an essence, especially to an artist, like I know there's creative directors for brands and things like that, but like for someone who's somebody's creative director, their obligation to you is what? Like
it obviously varies by like the tier or like the artist, but I would say the easiest way to describe it is like you help them communicate their vision to the world. So you're like a communicator in a sense. So it's like you have X artist who has X album, it's just music at this point. How do you bring this to life in the visual aspect or marketing aspect? So that can be everything from the album art or a marketing campaign or a music video. How do all these things speak to each other in a cohesive story?
Right.
Commissioning directors, I'm like, okay, we're gonna use this director for this song, or this photographer this photographer fits this overarching story we're trying to tell, X, Y, and Z, or like this merch tee. Okay, we did this music video. Let's put a reference from the merch tee. Let's put a reference from the video on the merch tee, and like, if you put all the pieces together, it tells one cohesive story. Right. So,
and you're literally getting a crash course on like watching.
Yeah, I'm watching them do it.
Wow.
But at the time, I'm just thinking about directing, and like, especially like now that we're like starting to get like pop-in videos, like, I'm definitely thinking about music videos. So.
Yeah. Did you have people coming at you when the videos, like when you're dropping these videos, they're starting to gain viewership, or it's with different artists, the artists start to grow?
Yeah.
Obviously, you were doing behind the scenes shit, but you guys were flying the wall and like keeping it a secret. Were you already starting to get hit up to do like more visuals? Or?
Not really. We were doing like Ill Roots stuff, so like still doing Ill Roots content and stuff, but like people started to notice the music videos, like when Big Sean, we started doing more Big Sean videos.
Yeah,
so like I do it, what year is this? 2011. So like around 2011, the the pinnacle and the kind of game changer for us from like a music video standpoint was like the Sean and Nicki Minaj ass video.
Yeah.
And that was like, yeah, it was like huge. It was like Nicki was like big, but like not Nicki yet, and like Sean was like Sean, but not Sean yet. But that was like such a pivotal point in their career. And me and Mike directed the video, and we were 19. But it was like the most like ridiculous story of like, it's like 2 shoot days. Like Nicki wasn't on the song first. We shot it in Atlanta first, completely different vibe. Because at the time they were like, oh, the song's called Dance, so like the vibe is like all about dance.
Yeah, right.
I remember like being on set and they were like, oh, Nicki's gonna hop on it. So we like, remember we got the budget. We were like, it was like 35 grand, and we're like 35,000. We about to run it up.
Yeah,
like,
for real.
Not knowing nothing, had no producer or nothing.
Yeah.
So like, I remember we like bought lenses. We like bought stuff for cameras, like, and we like shot this video in Atlanta, and it was like, if it would have came out, it would have been really whack.
Yeah.
So we kind of got like a second chance when Nicki got on the song, because we had to do a pickup day. So we like crammed all this stuff in a pickup day of like, I want to say like 70% of the videos from that pickup day.
From the pickup day? Really?
Yeah. And it was a crazy scenario, crazy Nicki Minaj story. It's like the same stories I hear now.
Yeah, right. Late, whatever, all the chaos
whatever.
and trying to make it happen.
But like being 19 is like another level of like stress.
The crazy part too is you gotta think like, you drop that video, the videos, I don't even want to look, probably a billion views.
I think it is a billion views.
A billion?
No, it's not a billion.
Maybe.
This is like pre-billion views.
Pre-billion, but
so
like,
this was like hundreds of millions.
All right, whatever.
Yeah.
100 million, which is like a billion now. And the amount of top, like all legends watch that shit. You know what I mean? And then low key, you're like already with a lot of them. Yeah. So people are already like, you're either in the mix or in the fold. And then this video comes out and it's crushing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the buzz is definitely there.
Yeah. And then went on tour with Jay and Ye, like the week it came out. I want to say we left to go on the Watch the Throne tour.
When that video came out? Oh, yeah. Okay, word. So then how did that, like, was that just because the time you went out to Australia was like smooth?
Well, we had been around them for like the entire process of making the album. So they had like they were comfortable with us. But like Kanye did like this deal with some like startup called,
what the fuck was
called
that?
Voyeur.
Yeah, Voyeur.
Crazy.
The episodes you paid like, you had to pay $10 to watch?
I think they sponsored the tour. So it was like a crazy deal where they were like, you guys owe us a piece of content every day.
It was every day?
Yeah, prior to me and Mike being involved in it. And so I think they had a crew already. And then I don't know what the deal was. Kanye didn't like it or something. So like we had to fly out and like join their crew to like be the only people with access to Kanye's rooms and stuff. Another crazy story I'm not gonna get into, but like got to see that tour. Another like subconscious like pivotal thing and like I think developed my taste level with concerts.
Dude, in direction and like
and just pillars, like sing that every night. Like
fuck.
I had no interest in like stage design or anything at that point. Yeah. Although in high school I like did like tech crew and stuff.
But I mean, regardless, like you don't even have to know that stage design is an actual career job. Yeah, like, you just go to that. That was my first real concert. Was in
that's
Chicago.
A great first concert.
It was it was like the illest. I remember seeing. I think Kanye was on the main stage, and I was like, "Yo, like, fucking!" That's the first time getting that close to someone like him. And then Jay pops up on the other pillar, and I was like, "What?" And then the dogs and shit. But like, just visually, and you got to witness a lot of that.
Yeah, like, every night.
Together. That's crazy.
It's crazy. I didn't see it come together, but I think we joined like show 2 or something.
Okay. Word.
But like seeing it every night, I'm like, obviously I'm sure it's still stuff I subconsciously reference today. So, yeah, man.
So on that job, like
I was shooting BTS.
It was just BTS.
Yeah, for Voyeur. But we were like the only people that can be in Kanye's like ethos.
Yeah.
From the Voyeur team. But we were like
the
traveling
people
with
probably
Voyeur.
Scratching their heads when you guys walked in.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Who the fuck are these kids, man?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like some like 1 or 2 people from that time I'm like still in touch with.
Oh, really?
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
But just being able to, my camera took me a lot of places and like, a lot of people on this show I'm sure have the same sentiment, but it's like it can take you out of your bedroom to across the world or like, you know, with your heroes. Just got to lock in though.
Bro, what's your family thinking at this time?
It's crazy because it was like I couldn't tell anybody anything. We had like a crazy, like, they put the fear of God in us. It was like, you cannot tell anybody anything. By that time though, people knew we were like around because like Watch the Throne credits came out. Well, one, that thing leaked and we were in it.
Right,
and like
right.
we had a credit in it. And then like I think it's like a consolation that like the thing never came out. I remember Virgil made sure we got like a credit in the album. So it's like documentarians, Mike Carson, Mike Wax.
That's sick.
It's like in the album credits. It's wild.
Is that equal a plaque?
I'm sure if I like called and like requested a plaque, yeah.
You can leave it here. We'll put it on the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Put
it next to the lens.
That'd be hard. That's sick of him though.
Of course, just like genuine stuff. So
people started kind of hearing.
People
about
knew, and then like at that point, I think Instagram was out, so I definitely was like every now and then I'm gonna post a Watch the Throne. And then once you see like 5 pictures from Watch the Throne, you're like, okay,
yeah, he out there.
And then like you know, I think at that point we were like doing more stuff, so people knew who we are,
right?
Who we were. So
were you just doing video, or were you also doing photography too?
We're shooting video and photo, but like for Voyeur, it was like just video. But I have some really ill photos on some drive.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, your website's already sick for archives, so you gotta drop them. What did your parents think when you really dropped out? Because you never finished, right?
Nah. I did a year and a half at Columbia.
Was your mom hot?
Nah, they were cool, man. Like, I think my parents are just very logical, and like, I'm like, yo, this is what I'm going to school for, and even if they didn't know exactly the exacts of what I was doing, they knew I was like around good people and I was learning and like was traveling and like I wasn't asking for a lot of money, you know what I mean? So I think after a while they were like just very supportive of it. Like, they were always supportive, but like after a while it was like, yo, I don't need to be in school.
Right.
So I'm very grateful that they, you know, had the foresight and like didn't like push me to be like, yo, go back to school, because it could have screwed everything up.
Well, yeah, they always just wanted the best for you and shit.
Yeah,
so it's like but they get it
for sure.
When you know that video comes out, Watch the Throne happens after the tour.
Yeah, we moved to LA like 2012, so that was like 2011. So yeah, around 2012 is like Big Sean starting to pop.
So then were you just always with him after the tour, or like, because it sounds like you guys are Kanye's people, you know?
Nah, we weren't Kanye. After 2012, we weren't Kanye's people anymore. We were getting a call like, all right, you guys are done. Yeah, well, it's all good. Yeah, I was moving to LA, and like I hated New York. No disrespect to New York, but like at the time it just wasn't for me. So I really loved LA. We were like obviously still doing Ill Roots stuff simultaneously and all this stuff, so like we're like, yo, let's move to LA. So yeah, moved to LA. We're still doing content stuff for the blog. At this point also we've like turned Ill Roots into like a whole other, like we have like Ill America, which is like our merch line. So we're like, we're making merch, I'm designing merch, we're marketing merch. We had started doing like the South by Southwest party, the Ilmore. So there's other stuff to do, and you know, we're building kind of the conglomerate of what Ill Roots was.
Because at that time, like if it was just a blog, could you explain like how it made sense to people like to run a blog? Yeah, like I don't know if people understand
content, man. I think the one thing that's never going away is content. So it's like we knew how to make content, especially, you know, even at a young age. It's like, and like we had access, and we would go to artists and say like, we will make you free content, or like
to post on your blog.
Yeah, it was like the trade-off was like the videos on the Ill Roots YouTube, or or where we need to put a t-shirt in the video or something, like which is like a formula for a lot of people now.
Yeah, I mean, Lyrical Lemonade, literally Chicago brand.
And he like gives Mike his like just due. And I remember Mike told me he had a conversation with him. But so like we're subconsciously, I don't want to say subconsciously, but like we're building this kind of empire of Ill Roots, and like we have content, we have the merch, we have like an office in LA so artists can pull up and like come to the office. We're just doing all this stuff.
I mean, I bought the merch, bro.
Sick, man. That's so crazy.
You know Ash?
Travers?
Yeah, Travers.
Yeah, of course.
So I was at an Iowa State game tailgating. and I was sitting there, and I was pretty fucked up. And I think we played a show there because we were open up for all kinds of people. I think Chance the Rapper played, and we opened for him.
That's fire.
I know. And I was wearing, I had the hat with the bones.
Oh, yeah.
or whatever. And I had it on backwards, and I was talking to some girls or fucking some dudes and a bunch of people that just saw the show. They're like, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yo, cool hat. Like, I work with them. Like, we made that. Yeah. And I was like, and I wanted in, bro. I was like, how do I gotta be cool with you guys? And I was like, yo, let's get each other's number. You're from Iowa? What the fuck? And we've still stayed in touch since.
That's fire. I didn't know he's from Iowa.
Yeah, he's somewhere in Iowa. I don't know. But he was there. It was so random. Yeah. Anyway.
Man, it's crazy that like people, like the stuff we were making in like our apartment or whatever was like traveling the world or the country, and like people were like wearing the stuff. Like to this day, it's crazy.
It's crazy. I'm bummed because I lost both. I had a long sleeve in that shit. I was bummed about it.
I got like a store. I was like going through my storage. I still have like a full box of all of it.
That's hard. Yeah. If you got any larges,
it's all my size. It's like all my stuff.
All right, whatever. No, I always remember. It was like for a fan of it to see like it was developing culture, because like at the time. When you did the first Illmore, that part, I mean, at the first South by Southwest, I think it was like
2014,
11. Oh, is that early?
It was at a house first. It was like a house at first.
Yeah, and then it grew into that one random thing where it was like bigger and shit.
Yeah.
But I was like watching that and just dreaming of that, and then I went to South by Southwest. That was like where I fucking got found by like TDE's people. Like, was going there, and that's all I want. The whole time I didn't care who I was with. I was like, I gotta get into that fucking thing. And we were like, we had a plug or whatever, and we went down there and we couldn't get in because the cops already shut it down.
Yeah.
But I just remember seeing that, and then what was happening from there, because it was like setting the tone. Everybody wanted to perform at this shit.
It's crazy. Everybody was performing for free.
And you guys are like how old? Fucking 22?
At this point, yeah. we weren't even that old yet. Like, it was like 19. The glory days was like 19 to 23.
Yeah.
Like of the Illmore, I should say.
Just shutting shit down, like these parts, for anyone who doesn't understand. This was like the thing to be at.
Check out the Illmore YouTube.
Yeah.
It's like, or Vimeo. I don't know if it's on YouTube. But yeah, Big Sean, Wiz Khalifa, Kendrick Lamar, all these people were like performing Schoolboy Q for free.
Yeah.
Chance the Rapper, Travis, like for free at this like house at the time, or it was like, it grew into this bigger thing, but it was like Future coming to perform it for free at 2 a.m.
Right.
It's like, and then it was like, we're making content and like doing a recap, dropping it the same day or whatever it is. So yeah.
I don't ever want, like, definitely sound like a fanboy and shit, but that seriously was like, it was like drive for us, like me and my people, just because it's so close and shit. And like, I remember literally standing out front trying to get him back. Man, the key is in that room. You know what I mean? Like,
that's crazy.
How do I get attached to that shit? I was like, I know they'll like me. I think
that's dope, man.
So cornball.
I wish I could like go back in time sometimes and like soak it all in. Soak it all in.
Going so fast.
Man, it was going so fast. It was like, you're grateful, but it's also like work. So I don't know. We definitely knew how cool it was though.
Right.
Like, it's like, being 20 or whatever, people be like, yo, I'm trying to get your thing. I'm like, oh, I got some band, like some VIP band.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So what, you're growing, the brands are all growing. You got the LA office.
Yeah. I'm like, at this point, really cultivated my relationship with Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Around 2013, he drops Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that was his second album. And like Virgil was like obviously involved with it, but like the creative director was Matt Williams, who's now the creative director of Givenchy.
Oh shit.
Crazy.
The fuck?
Yeah, so like I'm watching these guys like creative direct the album, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, I feel like I can do this at this point.
Yeah.
I'm like I get it. I've seen two to three albums kind of happen, and I'm like, I understand this guy probably a little bit more than you guys do. And I remember having a conversation with Sean and being like, yo, let me be a creative director.
just pitch it.
He was like, all right, cool.
Because dude was stepping away or what?
It just wasn't. It was like a one-off thing.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't like his creative director.
Yeah.
They all worked for Donda,
Mm-hmm.
like worked for Ye. So it was like, Sean wasn't like the focus.
Yeah.
But like I'm with Sean every day. We're like still doing video stuff. In between that, I'm like skipping stuff. But like Detroit mixtape comes out, me and Mike do that. Like we basically creative directed the Detroit mixtape.
Right.
We did the artwork, did all the videos, the shows. At that point, I got like my first taste of like the live stuff. I remember his manager was like, yo, we're going on tour in Canada. We need like some video content for the screens. So I'm like, okay, I have all the drives for all the videos, and like, I saw, I was on the Watch the Throne tour the year prior, so I kind of have like a point of view. So I like immersed myself into the live stuff just to like figure out like what I should be putting on the screen. So I'm like taking videos, like I'm doing like one takes of like unedited parts of the video, putting it up on the screen if it's like a guest artist or something.
Right.
VJ clip, random stock video, like doing stuff where I'm like just putting like a white solid up on there to like silhouette him, or like a red thing that like just grows like in 2012. And like I got to like see people react to my video in real time.
So sick.
So I was like, okay, this is like really tight.
Yeah.
This is like a lot tighter than like working on a video and like hoping it works.
But
like for a music video.
Is that a creative director? Is like,
no, that was just like
we need someone to get
video content, man. Obviously it has a real title, but like it was just me. So like video content guy, and like I remember I like wrote up like a script for like the lighting guy, like, yo, make sure it's green lights on this part, or like we need a laser at this part. I don't,
Yeah.
So like that was my first taste of like seeing my ideas on a stage, and I was like, yeah, this is really tight. But obviously I'm like still doing video stuff. This was 2012, so it was like, if you look up like 2012 Big Sean, look up like a random Canadian city like Calgary, it was like a Canadian tour. So like,
do you remember what Sean, like how he, because that's your first time taking a stab at that. Do you remember like what his reaction to?
I don't think he's like
paying attention to it, or?
Yeah, because it was, I'll never forget. We were like, I was not done with all the content, and we were like landing the day of the first show. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna finish everything when we get to the venue. And like, we got like stuck at the border or something.
Yeah.
So like, I'm freaking out. I'm like, yo, I still got stuff to finish. So like, I don't think I'm sure he turned around. I was like, oh, this is cool, but like. At this point, me and him had like a trust factor, so I was like, "You just trusted me."
Yeah, just play.
Which was like, yeah. So, fast forward after that album comes out, Hall of Fame, and then after that, I'm like, "Yo, let me be a creative director."
I'm gonna stop the podcast real quick, just for a second, to talk about the illest thing I've ever done as a creative, and in my opinion, that was start the Black Window Cream community. Creating like an online place for creatives of all walks of life, whether you're just getting started or you've been doing this for 25 years, for everyone to be able to come into a safe space and connect with each other has just been so motivating. I see people share their ideas, provide tips and tricks. They're offering job opportunities if people are getting hired. They're connecting, they're building friendships, like real authentic friendships, by just being in this creative space together. It's such a cutthroat industry, and I feel like we're always just pitted to be against each other, to try to flex on each other all the time on social media and stuff, but this is not that. It's the exact opposite. The walls are down. We're all just with each other, like as if we were in some massive coffee shop, just shooting the shit. So if you haven't joined the community, I highly suggest you check it out, bwnc.com/join. We would love to have you in there. It's $1 for the first month. Come and say hi. We'll see you in the community. All right, let's get back to this podcast episode.
And he was like, yeah. And I don't think another album came out until 2015, but like that next 2 years, I just like really immersed myself in all things creative. So like not just video, but like really diving into the stage stuff. Like I'm sure he had a lot of tours in between that point, or like little college tours. So right. I'm like, that's what's like most interesting to me at the time. So I'm like, who are the top people? What are the best concerts? I'm watching so much stuff on YouTube. I'm like going to shows. I'm starting to read the like magazines of like, these are what like these certain lights are. Like this is like the programs people use. So I'm like fully like, it's like going to school all over again. Because I'm like, I don't have a degree in this. I have no experience. But I have an artist who has shows, so I can like learn on the job. And like I have enough of a taste level to be like, okay, I'm really good at editing video, so I can make screen content.
Right.
You get to see what works. You can change it the next night. If it doesn't work, I'm starting to like learn the basics of lighting, and like these color lights work, or this type of fixture is like the type of fixture you want to use on this part of the stage. You don't want to use this type of. So I'm like really fully going into it. So by the time 2015 came, I was like not really thinking about video as my bread and butter anymore. I was like, really like 2014, but like really 2015, I was like, yo, this is what I really love doing. And also at the time, it was like, you know, with Sean every day, where I'm getting to see him make an album, which was Dark Sky Paradise, and seeing what his vision is, and like, how do I translate that, and having conversations with Virgil and being like, what do you think of this? What you know?
Yeah.
Just really like taking advantage of the opportunities and the access I had, and like, but also like really diving in and like researching everything. Like, if I had an idea, I'm like going into it, seeing who's the best person who did this prior to me, and like, this was the process. These are their influences. This is like, whether it's stage or it's photography or it's packaging, all these things.
Were you doing it like to just to like brush up and become familiar, or was there like goals that you were trying to work towards?
A bit of both. It was like doing it so like I knew, but also like, oh, we have a show in 2 weeks. Like, what do I want to put on the screens? Like, let me like lock in, and like, at the time I was like referencing shows. So
well,
like,
it's kind of tight that you had like, it's like free money to learn with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
it was crazy. I was definitely not making a lot of money, but like I was learning on the job, and like had to trust him, an artist who was growing, which I think is like invaluable.
Well, that's what I mean. Like you get a little bit budget for stage shit to like, okay, what if I did bring in that fixture and play with it?
Exactly. And like, you know, we didn't have access to a lot of things, but after a while, I'm like learning the terminology and being like, okay, no, do not bring this light. Like,
yeah.
And then like around 2014, like I like was like, all right, I'm gonna start triggering the video live. I was like VJing. So that's like when you have the program and you're like triggering clips live, and it's like you're DJing, but like with video.
Is that triggered to music, or is that are you literally hitting cues to like?
I was hitting cues.
You were.
Cause like you know, it was like a DJ show, or like even if you had a band, they weren't like running Pro Tools. So it was like, I'm like, we're 100% live. So I'm like, I can make something on my laptop that hour before and like throw it on the screen and like jam out. You know what I mean? So I was doing that for Sean. People were starting to see it. I remember I did like a DJ Mustard show. We like, me and my boy B-Way like designed like all these VJ clips for like Mustard playing Hardfest. It's like 2014.
So sick.
Yeah. So I'm like loving the live stuff. I'm like, I'm at festivals. I'm like, and then after that I was like VJing for R.L. Grime, the DJ.
Yeah.
All while like being Sean's creative director. I was like, when I like really look back and like look at like 2012 to really like 2020, it was like nonstop. For real. It was like nonstop. I'm like really grateful because I like, I don't know, when I'm really passionate about something, I like really dive into it.
Yeah.
And it's like we have so much information at our fingertips, like way more than.
You've been taking advantage of
Man, yeah, than the people before us, you know, like back in the day, like that would have never been an option. It would have been a way different path. I would have had to like go on tour as like a tech or something and like did the same like work your way up the ladder thing. So I'm like so grateful to like be born at a time where like YouTube was out and like I can like Google an article and it like comes up.
Yeah, that's fucking
you know
crazy.
What I mean? So
versus going
but it's like, you know, you have to like dive in and like take advantage of that stuff.
Was Sean in the camp like okay with you doing like the Mustard and the RL?
Yeah, it's crazy looking back. Like
they shouldn't have been, right?
Nah, I was on retainer, but like I never was like doing stuff in like prime times. It was like, oh, he's recording, so like, what am I gonna do?
Right.
Sit in the studio all day.
Yeah.
But it's definitely been some times where he's like been cool about it. But yeah, man. So like, long story short, like by like 2015, like the live thing is like what I love the most.
Yeah.
At that point, like the blog kind of thing, at least for me, it was like I was losing interest a bit in those, and like it was growing in a different direction. So I was like really keen on like locking in on Sean versus like, you know, staying and like trying to do Sean, Ill Roots, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
So,
well, you got like prioritized.
Yeah. But like, man, that's like, I couldn't imagine my life without Ill Roots and like those pivotal like 5 years, 6 years, and like shouts to Mike, shouts to Darnell, David, everybody that was like around that time.
So when you get to the, by the way, put water over here if you want some water.
Yeah, I need some water.
Cause we talking today.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you don't look at that. Don't look at that. We're telling the story.
We're cool. Yeah.
We're telling the story.
Hopefully people listen to all this.
No, they'll fucking for sure listen to it. My God. When you at that point when you kind of realize like stage design and that was starting to pique your interest.
Yeah.
You had already seen one album through with Sean?
Yeah. By 2015, the first album that I was like his creative director had came out, and that was like Dark Sky Paradise.
Right.
And that was like the last album that this is like when Ye still had like the Donda Collective. Mm-hmm. So that was like the last album where it was like they had a POV on it. So like Virgil and Ye were still involved, but it was like me running the show,
right?
Being on the boots on the ground. I'll never forget. Like, had this whole direction. Like, had this photographer that we thought was like Kanye approved that he's used before. Like,
for artwork.
Yeah, to shoot the artwork. And like a day before the shoot, he was like, "There's no way this dude's shooting his album cover." What?
That you picked?
Like it was like a photographer. It was like, I'm not gonna go super into it, but like it was like a photographer that I thought he liked.
Yeah.
And he was like, "No way." But like that was one of those weird like conflict times, because I remember I had like booked like R.L. Grime was going to Australia. Uh-huh. And I was like, all right, cool. The album packaging will be done by then. Like, I'm going to go to Australia, do this run and VJ for him. Mm-mm. And like, I'll never forget having to go to Australia, fly, do a show with RL, fly from Australia to Paris, because we had to shoot his album cover in Paris with this photographer, Fabian, who's great. But like, Australia and Paris are on like two opposite sides of the world. So it was like a 24-hour trip. I had to like fly to Dubai by myself, fly to Paris. Remember I like left my luggage. It was crazy. And then like fly back to Australia to finish the rest of that tour. Crazy. So that's like an example of like how I was juggling. Yeah, but like
casual.
Dark Sky Paradise was like a pivotal time in Sean's career. It was like, I think when it finally clicked for him.
Yeah.
But also like I'm creative directing this, like I'm commissioning the directors. It was like the homies, like I directed some of it, but like I'm like working with the directors on like, yo, this is the vision. Like we need to make sure the album art is communicated to like the stage stuff, and like also the merch and like all this stuff. So that was like the first true album I creative directed.
Were you using that as an opportunity to like how you said it was like the homies getting involved on shit? Were you trying to give opportunities to that point, or are you just trying to make sure you secured that?
No, I was just trying to get it done, man.
Yeah, right.
Like, and the homies, like, meaning like Sean's homies too. Like one of my best friends, Lawrence, like, is like a great filmmaker. He's like doing a lot of great things, and like, he was a part of that. I was a part of that. Like Andy Hines. Who else? I'm missing people, but like it was like a great
collective
crash course in like being a creative director. But like because I have the knowledge and like hands-on experience with this stuff, I feel like I can communicate with other creatives or other
right
versus like, you know, I'm not just doing a mood board or whatever, or just saying like, oh, we want it to feel like this. It's like I know how it feels to be in this seat, so like I can communicate in a certain type of way.
Yeah, and get it done.
Yeah, and still being young and like making mistakes and all these things, but like I'm really proud of that moment. Was that 7 years ago now? 8 years ago?
2015.
Yeah,
7. Damn.
Crazy, man. I feel like 2015 was like I was like when I was doing my site. Was that 2 years ago? A year ago?
Which if you haven't looked at it yet, go MikeCarson.tv.
Yeah, check it out. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like looking at that year. I was like, whoa, I peaked in 2015.
I peaked.
It was like just, I couldn't believe the stuff I was doing, man. Like the BET Awards, like Sean performance is still one of my like favorite things I've ever done. And that was like me just dreaming and like people being like, okay, cool. And like knowing how to edit.
How are you coming up with that shit? Like when you look at like an award, like that award show, because this is like one of the first few, like if that's like a big moment for you.
Man, that was huge for me because I remember that same day the Play No Games video dropped.
Oh yeah.
Which was like
such a good video.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just remember being like on cloud nine that day. Man, like just immersing to answer your question, like immersing myself in like just culture and media and like making sure I like had different reference points that weren't in the necessarily the medium I was working in or the genre. So it's like watching an opera or like watching a weird movie or like looking at crazy stuff. So like when it's time to come up with an idea, I know what we're trying to communicate from like a quote unquote Big Sean standpoint, but also like I have these ill references or like these things I've seen that are possible. And I'm like, why don't we bring this to this medium that it hasn't been done in this medium or hasn't been done in this context of like the BET Awards. You know what I mean? So
illreferences.com should be like
wow,
like,
that's
you know
that's a gem.
Like
that's
a
fire.
shot deck or something.
Yeah.
Would you when you're like pulling those references?
Yeah.
Are you like literally just keeping it up here, or do you like have some sort of system of like where you're saving images or saving like do you have your own little?
It's crazy you say this because like right now I'm building a reference library, but like I just have folders and folders of stuff, or like if I see something that moves me, I'm like obviously gonna remember it. But I have like folders and folders and books and like I have so many references, movies, whatever it is, and it's become so much easier to like you have Shot Deck or you have like these like AI reference sites where you can like type a word in and like 1,000 images come up for like movies that have red chairs in them, or you know what I mean? So it's even I think it's too much information now. I think it's kind of like made people a little lazy, but it's so much at our fingertips. Like you can see anything. So man, the reference stuff is important, but it's also important to not copy stuff and like it's definitely stuff in my portfolio that's not on my site that I've done where I'm like I completely ripped that, but like you know, different time. But man,
games when I remember this is just a shout out to you too, because you did that video and I was working at a production company and one of my friends JR,
shout out JR.
Yeah, so he did VFX on that.
He edited it.
Yeah. Okay.
And did the VFX.
And did VFX. Yeah. And that shit got a VMA, didn't it?
No, it got
he won one. I can't remember what it was from.
It wasn't for that.
Was it nommed?
I don't think it was. That was like an album cut. Like so it wasn't the biggest song from the album. So like the VMAs is like it's all about whatever the biggest song is.
Yeah. Well, it felt like to him.
Man, yeah, for sure. That was like, and it was funny. That was like the first time I let anyone edit.
Oh, really?
Anything I've done.
You would always make. You would
everything. Yeah.
Well, he felt the pressure, and then I think we had a long conversation. I remember it because he was struggling with the production company he was at, and like wanted to leave and just start his own thing, but was very afraid to do it. And I kept telling him, so I think you would be in there, and he'd talk about working on that project with you, and then just other people would be in the building all the time. But I always saw JR as like a very quiet, reserved person. I think we might have talked about this on the podcast, but when I flew back to Iowa, me and him had a conversation. He's like, I think I'm going to either quit or get fired. And I was like, yo, you need to talk to people more, bro. I'm like, hit Mike Carson. I'm like, he likes you. You did that video. I think you did a good job.
Yeah.
And he said he talked to you, and then like you guys started building from there. But he always is like thankful from that moment, like having done that. It's crazy, right?
It's crazy. Not to talk down on that company, but no one got that video. Like even when we were doing it, like I remember me and him were there editing it, and they were like, "Okay,
I know.
This isn't for you guys."
I know.
Killed it, man. That's like one, like to this day, like that's one of my favorite videos. Yeah.
Shit, so it's like, the set design on that was so crazy.
Yeah. Shout out Brandon Mendes.
Was it Brandon?
Yeah, 100%.
Love Brandon. I tried to get him on here. He's too afraid to talk. This fucking guy.
Brandon's tight.
Yeah, he is. No, I just remember talking about that and like how cool that was for
crazy. Another crazy like idea I had forever, and it just never made sense. And then like that song came about, and I was like, oh, this kind of worked.
Yeah.
And everything just fell into place like how it was supposed to. Like we didn't cast a girl like the Gina girl to the day of. Like
really
crazy. And then like Martin was down to be a part of it. It was crazy, bro.
Damn.
Like so yeah, I love like I feel like that's a great example of the type of feeling I want to evoke with everything I do. If I'm working on something with like a pop artist, pop meaning like popular. So like around that time, and definitely before that time, I was like, you know, as filmmakers or like people, creatives, we like really want to impress our peers. So I feel like I was making stuff that I thought was like cool, but like at the end of the day, it was like you're communicating things on like a really mass scale, and you need to like make sure people, like an artist, fans relate and like connect with things. And I feel like that's one of those like ill examples of like pop culture connection and like something that people can like grab onto and be like, wow, I felt that, or like, wow, I really got that and it really made me feel like this.
Right.
Versus like, we can nerd out about cinematography and all these things all day, but it's like if somebody's like, yo, I don't get the video, and that's like the general consensus, that's a failure. Yeah. No matter how ill your friends think it is, or like how ill this like,
we had this crane through the
blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I think moments like that kind of shifted my brain from being like, oh, I want like a Vimeo staff pick, to being like, I want to make stuff that people connect with.
Yeah.
And like, it's different if you're like an artist and like you do fine art and like that's your lane. You can go like super like whatever, and it doesn't matter if people like it or get it. Whereas if you're like working on things in pop culture, whether it's music or whatever, design, clothing, and it's like being produced on a mass scale or like a somewhat mass scale, or like people need to buy into it or connect with it, it's like you need to learn how to communicate with people and figure out like what makes people tick. And like, I don't know, that's like my bread and butter now. It's like not about like what the tech was. That's cool. That's always going to be a part of me. But it's like,
what's going to speak?
What's going to speak? What are people going to connect to? And like, is the communication clear?
Right.
So
yeah. Jesus, from when you take that moment and you get that video, and like it's probably connected. I mean, all the artists on that song, were massive.
Chris Brown, Ty,
Is that just keep spiraling into like? Do you like kind of hone in on like I'm just gonna full time do Sean stuff, or are we still trying to juggle a bunch of other shit at the same time?
Nah, I mean, I was Sean's full-time creative director from 2013 to 2020, but like I was still doing other stuff because it was like
through those gaps in the time.
And like after a while, like I'm grinding, like so like it was points in time where Virgil was like doing stage stuff, and he'd be like, oh, I don't want to work on this, like let me toss it to Mike. So like that's how I like got connected with like Drake or like A$AP Rocky. So like working on Drake tours through Verge, and like so like it'll be points in time where like Sean's off or like Sean's not off, and I'm like just moonlighting. And like because after a while I was like, yo, I love this live stuff more than anything. Like any and everything I can get my hands on, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Which like I wouldn't do now, but like I'm super grateful to, for that time of like just putting my head down, working, failing, researching, meeting people, traveling, seeing people react to your stuff. And man, it's allowed me to really like evolve as a creative, and like and then I can still do a music video when I feel like it, or a commercial or whatever, but like I know what makes me tick.
Yeah, but at that certain point it's just you're in the rat race with yourself of just trying to get it while you can. And for
sure. And like I can definitely say like the pandemic like shifted my viewpoint on a lot. I was like one of those people that were super busy during 2020, like thankfully, but like I didn't really get a chance to like be at home and like learn how to make bread and stuff like everybody else is doing.
Go to Home Depot and
shit. So I was like, there was like this moment of panic where like I was like, yo, the thing I love the most got taken away from me. So I'm like, once people figured out like, all right, we're gonna do these like live video things. I was just hopping on all of them.
Yeah, right.
And then like after a while, like, at the end of the year, and this is no diss to anything I worked on that year, but like I did not feel fulfilled, and I was just burnt. And then like shows came back in 2021, and like I'll never forget like July 2021, I was like, this is it for me on like just doing stuff to do it. I'm like, I kind of have this like FOMO thing where it's like, oh, you get hit up to do something, like, I want to do it, I want to like get something off, or like I don't want to miss this moment, and then like you end up doing things that you might not necessarily have like aligned with, or like you're like really passionate about.
Or you're burning yourself out.
Yeah, or you're just fried. You have like no work-life balance, or like, whatever it is. So, July 2021, I was like, this is it. I'm just going to lock in on things that I'm uber passionate about and like that fulfill me, and like started to like prioritize the process versus the end product. And like,
what was that like? What did you just finish something July 24th?
Yeah, for sure. I was just burnt out, and I was like
a shit ton of jobs, and you're just like,
some like, you know, quote unquote big stuff, but like not feeling fulfilled after, because I'm like, I just poured my heart into all this, and like I'm tired. I'm like, I don't feel that feeling that I felt on some of the other things I was doing. So I was like, yo, like after this, I had to like kind of assess and be like, I spend way more time working on stuff than like sitting in the end final product. So I'm like, I have to like make sure that the relationships and the people I work with and the projects I work with, I'm enjoying myself in the process and putting that as a top priority versus like, oh, this is this big thing and like it's gonna be ill, but like I can't even like enjoy it because I'm so fried, or like I hated the process.
Right.
So like now it's like somebody says, hey Mike, I want you to do the X thing right here. I'm like, okay, what is this process gonna be? Am I gonna enjoy myself? Obviously it needs to make sense as far as the end product, but like, am I gonna be able to like do something I've never done, or like I get to work with people I love working with, or like whatever it may be, versus like, oh, this is this big thing, I'm just gonna pick this because it's big, or like, and man, it's been like a blessing to just like work less, but like work, I don't know, I feel way more fulfilled.
Yeah, it's like you're able to breathe a little bit more, and I always felt that too, like on a lot of jobs when you reflect on shit, you're like, it impacts people, but you're already on to the next while it's impacting someone. Like by the time some shit comes out or someone sees it or whatever, like there's no time to truly enjoy what it is, which can be like, it's kind of a bummer or whatever. But also I think sometimes you just decide that that's how it is. Right?
For sure, but it doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be.
I think there are people that, you know, I recognize my place of privilege to be able to be like, I get to choose what I want to do, and like, but because I can't just be like, can't be like guilty and be like, oh, I got to just do stuff because I have this opportunity. It's like at the end of the day, I have to sit with myself and like be happy with what I'm doing. And yeah, man, like the last 10, 12 years, like I've really worked really hard, and like I'm so grateful for it. I would change nothing. But now that I'm like 30 and like I have different goals, it's not about me like sitting at a computer 18 hours a day or like at a camera or whatever it is.
Right.
So yeah.
What do you feel like is in that moment, outside of just being able to pace yourself, what other things do you feel like you were missing outside of I mean, when you talk about work-life balance, like, what is that for you?
Just like being able to like do things that don't revolve work. I know it sounds crazy, but it's like sleep, but like cultivate relationships, or like just do things that I enjoy, like whether it's or take care of my health or take care of my business. And it's like we're just like, I'm working, grinding. It's like it's easy to be like, oh, I'm gonna
deal with that shit later.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like I don't need a bookkeeper.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? It's like,
I text you too. I'll be like, yo, CPA, who you got?
Yeah,
like,
man.
Like, man, I don't
That's
know.
like what I'm on today. I'm like,
It's
I need a new
worst.
CPA. Like, but I'm like, all right. I kind of recognize like if I'm just working, and I don't spend time to do these things, you know, it all piles up, and then it takes you over, and then you're like, oh my God, I wish I would have just took an hour to do this.
When you do this type of shit, do a podcast, and you're telling this part of the story, like, or telling these, you know, obviously I feel like this could be a 5-week program.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
One day.
Yeah. The Mike Carson boot camp.
Yeah.
But when you do it, like, how do you feel when you reflect on shit like this? Because just to think about,
it's therapeutic.
The rooms you've been in, man.
Yeah.
Like the conversations you hear, and like, I feel like I've gotten like 1/10 of that taste, and it's great.
Nah,
you know
man.
what I mean?
You've been around.
But I mean, like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I know what that feels like, and I don't know. I remember like when I was with Chris Brown, and it was like the beginning of his tour, and I got to make like the intro video that played on the iPhones. And I was like working so hard on it and shit, and then when it played, I stood in the crowd and I watched that shit, and this guy was next to me, and I was like hitting him. I'm like, I fucking made it. Because it was like, what the fuck? I can't believe I did that.
I'm super grateful, and I'm like, talking about it, you like relived it sometimes. You're like, wow. I'm like, but also like, I feel like the things I'm working on now, I'm like, I feel like that in the moment. I'm like, yo, this is fire. This is crazy. I'm like,
are you guys celebrating? I mean, we can keep going. We should talk about like what you've been up to.
Yeah. I celebrate. I don't know if that's the word. I'm like grateful and like I recognize the magnitude of things. But I think you can only do that when you like step away from it sometimes.
Sure.
Sometimes, but then other times, you make something or you work on something and you see 10,000 people put their phones up, and that's like the feeling. That's all the feeling you need.
Yeah.
Which is dangerous because I feel like, in the past, that's what's kept me going. And like, I don't know. I think now it's like a bit of that, but also like the self-fulfillment thing where I'm like, how do I feel? What is this contributing to the world?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So after, July, or whenever you said July?
Yeah,
June,
July
whatever.
2021.
So what's the pivot? Like, because I know you started working with like PG Lang, Kendrick's Camp, Dave, and all those guys.
Yeah.
What else were you starting to do that you felt like these were the jobs I want to take where I can get
for
that
sure
fulfillment that you were looking for?
I think the first thing Day in Vegas, the Kendrick performance at Day in Vegas, that was like a year from a few days ago.
Yeah. Damn, really?
Yeah.
Fuck, time flies.
That was definitely like the thing I kind of closed the year out on, where I was like, this is how I felt 10 years ago or 2012, and like I gotta lock into this feeling. And it was like so much of it was predicated on the process and like working with Kendrick and Dave and their team, and like I had fun doing that. Obviously the end product was like amazing, but like the process was fun, and I felt like I was being pushed creatively, and like so I was like, okay, cool. Obviously new, but like seeing it up close, and I'm like working with them, it definitely helped steer me into like what 2022 looked like, which was like, I want to do this 10 more times.
Which you did.
Yeah.
Which you guys did.
Yeah, but also like, other things I worked on this year. It was probably only one other thing I did this year where I was like, nah. But like everything else I did, I feel like at the end of the day, I was like super fulfilled on.
Like check the boxes.
Yeah, man. And now it's just about growth and like growth and elevation and like, paying it forward. So it's like, who am I gonna be the Virgil to that's 18 or 19 or 20 or whatever, that like I can see their talent and help cultivate it, or like or if it's not that literal, like doing things like this where I can talk and like hopefully inspire people, or responding to people on Discord or whatever it is.
You got
like,
a Discord thing going?
I do have a Discord. I have not been like super active in it, but by the time this comes out, we'll be back going.
Can we link to it? And
yeah, absolutely.
Right, what was it like? Because I feel like this is in that time period. Coachella, you doing Big Sean and Baby Keem.
Yeah, crazy.
Like, cause it wasn't like it was back to back sets, like
back to back. That was ill. Yeah, it was fun. It was like the Sean Coachella was supposed to happen in 2020. Which was the last year I was like Sean's creative director. So like, I hadn't really worked on any Sean stuff since then. But that was like a bucket list thing for us. It was like Sean playing Coachella.
Yeah.
And I had been starting to do stuff with PG Lang as well. But man, it was dope. Like to like see Sean on that stage, and like, I don't know. I feel like it was like obviously we've done some really tight stuff, but like Coachella was like every year we're like, oh, we're about to be on Coachella, and it was like did not get it.
Yeah.
So it was tight.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
I know.
I was like super nervous going into it because I was like, this crowd is like 17, 18, like, obviously Sean's huge, but like seeing Sean play in 2015 would have been crazy.
Right.
But man, they were so receptive, and obviously all the hit songs worked out super well, and
the
like
visuals look. I text you because Dave was out there.
Oh yeah,
with you guys too doing
shout out Dave.
Shit. Yep. And then we were. I was on my treadmill. I was trying to get back into it, and I started running, but I was like, let me watch the YouTube video. I hadn't ran in forever. That shit, just the whole look, the energy, him going off. I was like, yo, this is like the illest whatever bullshit I ran mile. I don't know.
That was a beautiful. It was tight being back at Coachella after the pandemic, like up there, watching Sean. Like,
yeah. And Keem set too.
Man, and Keem as well. It's like
so
blows my mind like how young he is, and like just how aware he is as well, and like he
super
knows,
artful and like,
man, yeah, but like connected with like his demo, and like it was tight. Like the back to back thing was like serendipitous, I think.
Yeah,
like,
Dave had said it too. He's like, it's gotta be weird or cool to like sit in front of a house and see like one idea you had, like shut down, and then they turn on the
comes
other
right
idea.
back up. Yeah, man, that's a blessing.
That's crazy.
Only would do that for like, you know, people I really care about and like believe in. You know, working on 2 Coachella shows is not easy.
That's what I was gonna say. What was it? How'd you juggle all that shit?
Just good people, and I've been there before. But you know, I can assess the situation and understand like the workload of like, okay, I can do these 2, but I know I can't do these 2. You know what I mean? So I'm not really trying to do too much more like multitasking like that. I think one thing I've recognized in the last 2 years is like I'm not as good at multitasking as I thought I was.
Like just pick one.
So like 2022 was like laser focused on like Dot and like other little things I would do outside of that, but like I wasn't really working on much other music stuff.
I felt when I saw the Big Steppers tour in Minnesota.
Sick.
I think I hit you then too. I think I basically hit you anytime That's
I just great, man. Hit you man, always hit me.
Yeah. But I felt like I felt at Watch the Throne.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like
that means a lot.
It was like the most fun shit to see live, and just like empowering, and just made you feel alive and shit. And you know what I mean? Like it just was everyone around me, everyone in the stadium like did that shit. It was like the coolest thing to witness, but like the design and everything came together. It seemed so flawlessly. I know you weren't at that city, but
man, I'm super proud of just all the work I've done with those guys. But like credit to them. It's like it's the bar is so high for me now because of people like Kendrick, because it's like I don't want to work with an artist or somebody that isn't going to put that much into it and make me look that good. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, like, why would I? And it's like, you know, it's like a sparring match. Like me, Kendrick, Dave, other people are just like, what's the best idea? And we're like locked in on like the best idea, and then like seeing him work hard makes you work harder. Mm-hmm. And see him be aware of how he wants to present himself. It's like, it's inspiring. And it's like, it's made it really easy to say no to other things because I'm like, is it here? And I'm not even talking about scale. It's just like level of performance.
That's how I feel with B&J too.
Man, it's crazy.
You see it and you're just like, you got to work 80 million times harder.
Yeah. Or just like, how do you bring their vision to life truly? And it's like not too many people who have like a specific vision or cultivated the environment around them to have people that can communicate that. So it's like it's fun for me because even in the hard parts I'm like amazed.
Yeah. No, I hear it. That's so dope.
So it's like, you know, there's not too many Kendricks out there. So like now my focus is like, how do I obviously work with people in that caliber? What am I working on that's, you know, Mike Carson and like whether that's product or whatever, because the bar is so high. It's like only so many more rappers I'm going to work with.
Right.
So I'm like, what's the next thing?
Do you feel like that's like commercial work? Like the Honda you just dropped recently on, I mean, I don't want to date this too, but on your Instagram, is there? You can see
check it out. It might not be there when this comes out, but
I keep deleting shit.
It'll be on my site though.
Right.
No. It's crazy. The Honda thing was like an agency that I've done work with before was like, hey, we have Honda as a client. You can do anything you want to do.
It turned out so fucking tight.
I appreciate it.
And I still don't fully understand it.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, good. That's not good because it's...
No, I mean like in the sense of like, how do you just figure that out?
Yeah.
Like that's what I don't get is how you what the fuck's going on up in your brain, bro? It's ridiculous.
I appreciate it. Originally it was like, I wanted to design an installation that people can come see and touch, and like it was around their car, and like then it was like, all right, we can't do an installation. It was always going to be a piece of content, but like I wanted it to be like a physical thing that people can interact with, but I still approached like the content like that. So I was like, yo, we'll do like a 90-second content piece, and then we'll also do behind the scenes so people can understand how this is not VFX.
Right. Yeah.
And also just like I said before, I was so inspired as a kid watching BTS. So like, I want to make sure I can do more of that. And they were like, okay, cool, they'll pay for it. So
right.
So yeah, I'm definitely interested in doing more projects where I can like get my art off as Mike Carson, but I'm also looking to do more stuff where it's like no one attached to it, and it's like just me and like my voice, whether that's like an installation or a piece of a t-shirt, whatever it is. So it's like, because we make all this stuff, and at the end of the day, we don't own any of it. Which is great, but like, it's not great when you like want to do you get hit up and they're like, "Oh, Ben, can we use this clip or whatever?" And you're like, "I don't own this, man." Like, so out of everything I've done, I'm really proud of, but none of it is technically mine.
Is this similar to like what you did at the Soho House event?
Kinda, yeah. Where like I feel like I can do more of that.
Right.
And more just like I have so many ideas. Like imagine, if I have the means to create art for myself or like to present it in like other fashions that aren't necessarily tied to a brand or an artist. So trying to do more of that. Obviously still do tours. I think I'm gonna always do shows, man. Right. In some capacity. But I'm just trying to like figure out like what is my voice, Mike Carson, like unfiltered, not through the lens of another artist or brand.
When you did the Soho, it was an exhibit, right?
No, it was just like a projection.
It was projection?
Piece, yeah.
Did you feel like did you get similar feeling like as an end result that you would get when you have a show, you go live or not? Or like, what do you feel like it is that's giving you that itch to like make your own thing? Obviously ownership and shit, but like,
yeah, I'm like proud. I don't know. I like feeling proud of myself, and I feel like I have a lot to say.
Right.
In my job as a creative director or a director or a show director, whatever it is for an artist, is about communicating their vision or their message. Obviously with my POV, but like, I feel like there are things I'm really passionate about and want to contribute to the world, and like I think I can only do that as me.
Yeah.
And I don't think it always has to be as grand as whatever. It could be like a preset pack or something. I'm not saying I'm gonna draw presets, but like it can be like on that level of like this is me and like I made this to give to people or whatever it is, or a t-shirt or like a class or it could be a large scale installation, or it could be a DJ mix, whatever it is. I'm just like, I have to lock in on, when I have the time on like what I want to contribute to the world as me. That's kind of like the next thing for me.
So sick. You've had, bro, like again, it could be a 5-week course. The run has been ridiculous.
I appreciate it.
And inspiring and shit. Like I'm big fan, and I'm so stoked that you fucking did this.
Yeah, man. No, I'm happy to talk. You called me at a good time of like, I'm like finally ready to talk.
Yeah, I know. So, and I'm appreciative of it, and I think so many people will benefit from hearing you like keep doing these. Because,
absolutely.
Like, I'm listening to every single one of them, and like
for sure,
you know what I mean. It's just it's impressive and shit, and like
thank you.
Be proud of that and like reflect on it, bro. I feel like anytime someone's birthday pulls up, that's when I usually hit them like, hey, try to reflect on like because it's crazy when you really think about it, and there's only a certain few days that you think about yourself.
Yeah, now you got to sit down and like really reflect, and I think the end of the year is good for that. The beginning of the year is good for that. But yeah, it's trying to work on things where you can like take that pause and like be like, wow, this is amazing, or like feel that feeling. I think it's really important for me. So
okay, so I know we're wrapping it up.
Yeah.
I always do this. You gotta pick a hashtag.
Okay.
So this is what we do. I tell everyone to go to your Instagram whenever they listen to this episode. When they get to this point right here, they have to go to your Instagram, whatever your last post is. Don't ever delete your Instagram so this stays alive. And they're gonna have to comment on that, and they're gonna put the hashtag that you put here, and they're gonna tag me at Ben Real vs. World, and that way we both know that they listened to the whole episode.
Okay, for sure.
That's a way of checking in. So you gotta pick a hashtag.
Hashtag fill a void.
Fill a void.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, that's like my motto.
Yeah. You gotta.
It's like my motto and my advice when people are like, "Yo, what would you?" I'm like, man, like we don't need another guy who looks like that or who does that. It's like, what do you bring to the table, and like, what's your POV?
Right.
Whether that's filming or that's making music or whatever, painting.
Yeah, find the gaps and
I'm like, because I'm gonna be like, oh, this is unique.
Yeah.
Even if it's not that good, it's unique, and it's like, okay, cool. This is the void.
I love that. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
No, this is the best. Yo, thanks for everyone listening. This was fucking one of my favorites.
Sick.
All right, we done.
Appreciate it, man.
Sheesh. Yo, it's Ben. I just wanted to say thank you for listening to today's episode. We have plenty of episodes that have come out in the past, and we're dropping new ones every single Sunday for season 2. So make sure to subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening to or watching on. And if you haven't joined Black Window Cream community, what you doing? It's the best community for creators on the planet Earth. Go to bwnc.com/join. We would love to see you in there. Please join. All right, see you next week.